Okay, this video hopefully will run through the banana sheet. So for those of you who are having trouble or were absent, it's this one here. It's at the back or right at the end of the summary sheet that you will find on Daymap. So it takes you through and asks you to find the distance between 2 points, the slope between these points and the midpoint. Now, you should be able to go back and look in your workbook to see examples of that, but if you don't, they're up here in the summary. So here's the distance formula, there's an example of that, here's the midpoint formula, example of that, and there we go with the slope/gradient. So if you need to, go back and have a look at that to help you. Just one little bit here is with the distance. Some of the answers we have, if you notice, we've got the square root, the square root, the square root. It means that you don't actually have to get a decimal answer. So back up here, you'd work out what's left over with the square root, and you just leave it like that. You don't actually have to get the decimal answer just for this worksheet. Okay. The bits that I think some of you are having trouble with are when it's asking you to find the slope and the y-intercept. Now it's easy when it's in this form, y equals mx plus c. So my slope is 4 or gradient, and the y-intercept is -2. Okay, they can try and trick you and rearrange. If they give it to you like this, you actually have to rearrange to get y by itself. So I'll just run through a couple of those examples just to make sure that we've got that under control. So as we were saying before, pretty simple with this one. That's my slope right there, the 3, and that's my y-intercept there because it's mx plus c. So we would just say m, which is for the slope, equals 3, and the y-intercept is -5. If we have something like this, remember the deal is we want to get y by itself. So the first thing that we have to do is get rid of this 5x. So to get rid of that, I'm going to take 5x. Because there's nothing in front here, I will take. So we take 5x, and what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Okay, keep life even. So they cancel, and what I'm left with now on this side is -2y equals 9, take 5x. And we're nearly there. To get rid of this times -2, we will simply divide. Now, we can write that in a couple of different ways. I can write that like this, y equals 9 minus 5x all over -2. Or I could write that as y equals -9. Sorry, not -9, just 9 over -2 minus 5 over -2x. Now that looks quite awful, and the reason that I put that in minus there to begin with is because a positive and a negative make a minus, so that would be -9 over 2, negative and a negative make a positive, and I get 5 over 2. Okay, plus 5 over 2. So whichever form we look at this, our slope is going to be 5 over 2 because that's the value in front of x here. And if I was looking at the other form, then the number in front of x is technically this here, which is again negative and a negative. So both ways we end up with positive 5 over 2. And similarly, the y-intercept for both of them, this would now be 9 over -2 or -9 on 2. Okay? So easy does it, we've got that happening. Slightly harder one, this won't be in your banana boat bit, but same deal. It's fractions, let's not worry about them. So again, we want to get rid of this whole x on 2. So guess what? We do the same thing over here, we take it. If that was a minus, in fact, let's now change this just to keep life a little bit different. If that was a minus, I've changed the question now, so it's minus x on 2. To get rid of it, we will, guess what? Yep, you've got it. We will plus x on 2. But what I do to one side, I must do to the other. Okay, keep life even. So now we get rid of that. We're left with y over 3 equals, on this side I've got 7 plus x on 2, or x on 2 plus 7. And we're nearly there. I don't want y divided by 3. I just want y. So how do I get rid of a divide 3? Yep, opposite of divide, times. So when I times this side by 3, it disappears. When I times this, I'm going to say it's 3 times x over 2 plus 3 times 7, which is 21. And a nice way to write that is 3 over 2x, 3x on 2, plus 21. And we finish off, the number in front of x is 3 on 2, so we get m equals 3 on 2, and we get c equals 21, which is my y-intercept. Yeah? Okay, so hopefully you can now give that a go in your banana boat exercise. You have to do that. Here, what's the y-intercept? Well, that's pretty simple. That one's -1. So here you need to rearrange because you can't have 2y, you just need y. And same with this, you just need y. Similar here, write this in the correct form and away you go. So hopefully you can try the ones that we've got here. And just a little, oops, I just saw one there. See here, where we've got a half y. Well, we can write that the same like this here, y on 3. So y on 3, that is the same as if I wrote 1/3 y. They equal each other. So y on 2, that is the same as a half y. Which one is correct? Whichever one you prefer. It's all good. And those of you who are a little bit more confident with this, if I go back to this exercise here where we had 5x take 2y equals 9, imagine if we go, well, I don't want to get rid of this 5x, I want to get rid of this minus 2y. So how do I get rid of a take 2y? Yep, plus 2y, and again, do that to both sides. And what happens here is we have 9 plus 2y because they cancel, and I'm left with just 5x here and 2y. And now to get rid of this 9, I'm going to take it, goes over the other side, I get 5x take 9 equals 2y. And you might be thinking, why are you doing this? Well, it's just showing you that you can do it either way. And if you notice, this is now no negative in front of the y, whereas here we had a negative. Anyway, to get rid of that times 2, you can divide. So we end up with 5 over 2, x minus 9 over 2 equals y. And you can see that once again my slope is 5 on 2, bang. My y-intercept is minus 9 on 2. So you can just see there's more than one way to do it. It doesn't mean if your neighbour's doing it a slightly different way that you're wrong. There's just different ways to do it. Okay? Let's keep those same questions, and let's look at what if I was asked to find the y-intercept for those. Okay? X and y-intercepts. So if we take the first function again, what was that? Y equals 3x plus 5. So what are the x and the y-intercepts? Now I don't think this is on the sheet, but this will definitely be in the test. So remember, to find our x-intercept, we make y equal 0. And to find my y-intercept, we make x equal 0. Okay, so we come back here, we look at my rule, wherever the y is, we're going to make it 0, so that ends up with 0 equals 3x plus 5. And now you're solving. So to get rid of the plus 5, we take 5. We take 5 from this side, it disappears. I must take 5 from the other. And I hope you all know that 0 take 5 is minus 5. You're nearly there. What's happening to x? It's being times by 3. Let's undo it. The opposite of times 3 is divide. So it's minus 5 on 3 equals x. So that gives me an x-intercept of minus 5 on 3, 0. To find my y-intercept, we make, as it says here, x equals 0. Now this is a lot easier. It just ends up with y equals, now 3 times 0 is 0. So 0 plus 5, we're just left with 5. So my y-intercept is 0, 5. Yep. To sketch that, you use a ruler. I'm being a bit naughty here and not using a ruler. You make sure that you label. 0, 5 is here, so you put the little 0, 5 there, and minus 5 on 3 is here. And with a ruler again, you connect those, and that is your sketch of the graph. That's all you have to do. So let's try and do this one now. So we've got 5x take 2y equals 9. To find your x-intercept once again, make y equals 0. And you seriously can't go wrong if you have these little headings. Y-intercept, x equals 0. So come up here, x-intercept y equals 0. So the 5x stays there. Minus 2 times 0 is 0. What comes next is equals and 9. To get rid of the times 5, divide by 5. So that gives me 9 over 5, 0. Y-intercept, x equals 0, so 5 times 0 is 0. Now just be careful here, because you can't ignore that negative. So minus 2y equals 9. Therefore, y equals 9 divided by minus 2. And a better way to write that, well, I like to write it as minus 9 on 2. Technically, it should be minus sort of in the middle, but we get a bit sloppy. So 0 minus 9 on 2. Done. And now we do a little bit of a sketch. We've got y, we've got x. So we've got 0 minus 9 on 2 here, and 9/5 positive, it's up there. Again, you're just doing a sketch, so it doesn't have to be to scale. Connect the dots, and there we have it. So hopefully you can work your way through, and remember the point is that if you get stuck, if you don't come up with one of these, and there might be a few that are challenging, that's the whole point, circle it and ask in class next time. All right? So good luck with that. I think it's quite funny, the answer. You might disagree. All right, good luck. Oops, stop.